29th of August 2016, Central Harlow, North Essex. In the dark shadows of a Brexit vote, and just 2 months after the horrific murder of Joe Cox, a Polish man, Arek Joswick, is set upon and murdered by a group of young locals, left to die in the middle of a busy high street. As we know too well, this is not an isolated incident. In the same town, at least one hate crime is reported every day. 2 Polish men were even attacked after attending a memorial service for Arek. Modern Britain is divided and shifting to the right, from the scaremongering of immigrants from our government to the racism that is festering in our communities and overpouring onto our streets. In the last 2 months alone, over 200 hate crimes have been reported every single day. Following a global trend, far-right and neo-Nazi groups are becoming more and more radical, spurred on by the xenophobia that is so prominent in the mainstream. Growing in confidence and size, each week they descend into towns and cities across the country, holding demonstrations and marches, bringing hate and violence with them. In my documentary, I will attempt to go to the forefront of Britain's battle against the rising tides of racism and fascism, getting to know those who put themselves on the line to oppose it. Throughout the film, I will be interviewing local anti-racist activists who have dedicated large chunks of their adult lives to organising against the far right. These activists will be the voice of the documentary, sharing their insights and experiences to tell their own story. Via interviews, we will cover many topics, including what got them involved, why anti-racism is so important to them, the risks they face, the tactics they use, the toll it has on their personal lives, how they support refugees, the importance of standing up to hate, and their outlook of the future. Before discussing contemporary movements and threats, we'll explore the history and deep-rooted tradition of working-class, grassroots anti-fascism within Britain. From the defeat of Mosley's Black Shirts at the Battle of Cable Street in 1936 to the victories over the National Front in the 80s and 90s. In terms of the footage, the documentary will be in the form of a point of view, from the perspective of an anti-racist activist attending a counter-demonstration, with the previously mentioned narration played over the top. The opening will start with the mundaneness and calmness of a morning routine, with an alarm sounding as the first shot. As the film continues, it will lead up to the contrasting scenes of the protest, where quiet towns are transformed into highly policed zones of conflict. In terms of ethics, some of those who I interview may decide they don't want to be shown on camera. We will explore this issue directly in the documentary, but the primary reasons given are feared reprisals from the far right and harassment from authorities. To overcome this, the participants who don't want to be shown will have their names and identities concealed. This will be done by filling the area behind the interviewee with light, so only a silhouette of their body will be visible. For the visuals, I really want to highlight the ugliness, harshness and dullness of modern-day fascism in Britain. While the story and narrative will play a pivotal role in this, a few adjustments in post-production, such as highlighting greys, blues and blacks, together with lowering the contrast and other techniques, should help to give the film a washed-out look. In terms of my approach to camera movement, aside from the interviews, the majority of the documentary will be handheld shots. While there may be camera shaking, this is vital in conveying that on-the-street, point-of-view feel. Moving on to influence. The majority of contemporary documentaries featured on television today seem to follow far-right activists. Those that follow left-wing protest movements are usually found online and are produced by independent filmmakers. The most prominent within Britain is Real News, an activist video collective founded in 2011. Real News follow a long line of radical video activist producers and was set up to publicise and share information on inspirational campaigns and struggles, from the anti-austerity movement to refugee support networks. Their videos consist of activist interviews and point-of-view footage of protests, and have heavily influenced the approach and techniques I will be using in my documentary. Thank you for watching. I look forward to making my video.